Good morning. How are we doing?
Good morning.
Morning.
Are you talking to the general public or us? Because I feel like
everybody, let's go. How's everybody doing this morning? I'm excited. We are kicking off coffee chats with a double guest special here with the ConnectWise crew. We're going to be talking about Pitch It. Sean brought his best mug. He doesn't realize I snuck away and got me an upgraded mug so I could keep up with the game. Sam, what you got there? What do you?
I feel left out. I'm not a dad yet, so I can't upgrade to a dad mug. But you know what? Someday I'm getting there.
One day, Sam. It's a rite of passage. But we are here live, kicking off a 7-series segment. I guess the 7th one being live at IT Nation this year at IT Nation Connect. Doing a behind the scenes in Pitch It. This one's super exciting for me. I've been a participant in Pitch It, and will be going on my second time of being a participant in Pitch It. And so I'm going to try to bring in a unique lens for a lot of the vendor community followers that are in my network on why you should be part of it. And then Sam and Sean are going to give us some behind the tracks. But if you are here this morning and you are joining us live, tell us, drop a hello, ask some questions, ask Sean and Sam some questions. Tell us what you're sipping on this morning. If you got, as long as you got coffee, well, I don't care. Tell us what you're sipping on this morning. It's a coffee chat show. But this is going to be really fun. Before we get started, I want to kind of dig in. We're going to have 7 shows. I'm not going to do this every single time, but I always like to really get to know my guests. Like, I don't want the 30-second elevator pitch. So what I want to kick off with is for Sam and Sean, for you both to give me your 3 or 4 minute story. Don't give me the, we're at ConnectWise, do the Pitch It thing. Like, tell me who you are. We're going to have a lot of time together over the next year. So kick us off. I'll throw the ball over to Sam.
Yeah, sure. So I was born and raised in Rochester, New York, to one Andrew and Rebecca Hoyen.
I love it. Keep going. We got 3 more minutes.
I grew up in Rochester. Yeah, it was great. A great town. I grew up around the IT and MSP space. My father is ingrained here. So I love it. And I went to school for cybersecurity at Duquesne, moved down to Pittsburgh a few years ago. Decided to stick around where I met Sean. He introduced me to the Pitch It program. Got kind of my feet wet with ConnectWise in the MSP space as an employee, as a worker, not just from the outside looking in. Decided I like to stick around. Pitch It's a great program for me to, kind of get to know the space, get my name out there, and make some great connections like you, John, and Sean himself. So that's kind of where I found myself. I've been with ConnectWise for the last 3 years now. Alongside the Pitch It, I do the sponsorship side of things. So you'll see me at events, and I'm your guy when it comes to that.
Sam, great to meet you. Along the way, Brett said, wow to Sean Lardo. Said nothing to you, Sam, which is kind of, Brett, maybe we could share the love this morning. We have a wow Sean Lardo. That's okay, though.
Well, there's Brett and I have history, man.
Brett's a great dude. I'm razzing him a little bit. If you're out there, though, say hi to people. Drop us a hello. Drop us a question. It always makes it way more fun on stream when people are participating. Thanks, Sam. Rochester, New York. And what were the parents' names? Socials? I'm just messing around. No, it's good. It's good. I'm excited to have you here. Sean, maybe give us your story.
Story.
And before your last, sorry, I want to add one curveball question to the end of your story. Explain the dog photo above you at the end of your introduction.
Well, there's 2, so
that's fair.
All right, so really simple. Grew up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Fan of the 6-time Super Bowl champion Steelers. Greatest NFL franchise in the history of the NFL. Secondly, come on, now you're in Indianapolis. It doesn't really count.
I know. I have a Colts helmet. It's just pathetic.
Yeah, so I ended up going to the Army after school, spent 9 years in that, and also then got into servicing people. Found out that people ask me what I do for a living, like what I enjoy doing. It's working with people for the most part. It doesn't matter in what capacity. It's more about working with people, But from the start of my first software job, I don't even know when, probably 2008, 2009, when I didn't know. The guy interviewed me, said, hey, what do you know about software? What do you know about, all these things? I'm like, well, I have a fantasy football website that I run. And he's like, oh, sounds great. And he's like, I said, I saw you won some awards. I know how to look things up on the computer, basically. He's like, all right, cool. That's how I started in software. Then I learned about the channel through that job, and started realizing how fun it was to work with people, like, and help enable them to be successful. Came to ConnectWise after I sponsored IT Nation events for 15 years. So I'm just trying to get my money back from ConnectWise. Yeah, so came here 5 years ago, was handed over the Pitch It competition, and sat down with Andrea Burrow at the time, and we put together the what now today is Pitch It, because it was before there wasn't the incubator and all that stuff. So reworked all that. Here I am, have 4 daughters. My youngest daughter is now starting to overachieve me in every way, shape, and form. She's 17, and
I love that.
like, I have to step up my game because she's ridiculous. All within 2 weeks, she was sworn into as a junior council member of the local borough. So she's literally in the government now at 17.
Wow.
Later that week, she had prom. And then the next week, she was elected as the president of the student council now too. So like in 2 weeks, I'm like, this is ridiculous. So my life is basically hers at this point. I'm just Uber and Uber Eats.
She's too nice to be in politics. You got to get her out.
I told her, but she's determined, I guess, and yeah, 4 grandkids. I mean, what else is there?
We could use some nice ones out there. Brett said go Seahawks and Lions, as well as I'm now calling Brett. Sorry to call you out twice here, but I'm now calling Sam Hipfern. I don't know, that's now just here. That is part of it. It'll be now Sam Hipfern for the rest of the show. So
it's not been told worse.
The dogs. First off, I'm a pop culture guy, so that's the Notorious B.I.G. poster.
Yeah,
obviously, Michael Jackson. And I had similar looking dogs in my life, and I found those, and I was like, this is dope. And so there they are. Don't worry, Brett. You can say what you want about Sam. He's durable.
Durable. I like that. He's durable. That's an explanation. All good, Brett. I appreciate your play along. We're just jamming around here. Congratulations to your daughter for Brett.
Thank you, Brett.
Yeah, congratulations, Sean. What a heck of a story. You have to step it up.
Yeah.
I know.
I didn't even go into my 31-year-old. That's another whole story. We could have a whole session on that, and it's just embarrassing.
Well, we'll have that session live at IT Nation, I think, maybe.
I'm crying about I can't beat them.
We're gonna make you cry in person.
I can't win this one. I can't beat them.
I don't want to do it virtually. I want to see it happen live, Sean.
It's always best too, because then you can hug me to help me for the time.
That's fair. Well,
I appreciate that.
Thanks, Jets, for giving your story. It makes it fun. We're gonna be collaborating together for the next 5 months. Is it a 5-month process?
Essentially, yes.
So it's good to get to know you. And I'm excited. Real quick question for those who are tuning in: have you heard of Pitch It? Have you applied to Pitch It? Have you tried any other accelerator? I can't even get the word out. Accelerator channel or program in the channel. Give us a note. Do you have a friend or a vendor that's in Pitch It? Just say where you're thinking, and we're going to jump right in. I want to start with just a real base explanation. I'll ask you this, Sam. For people who have never heard of Pitch It, they only maybe have seen the letters on the internet, or maybe this is the first time they're even hearing it on the stream. What is it? How does it work? And who's involved with it?
Well, to start, if you haven't heard, I encourage you to, when you do see it around, dig in, because it's a great program to get to know. You get to see a lot of cool things. But basically, Pitch It is a Shark Tank style to 16-week incubator program where we take startups in the MSP space. We put them through educational sessions where we bring in known people and thought leaders from the space to give these educational sessions for everything from M&A, sales processes, marketing, to even refining the story of your pitch itself. So that's one section of it. The other part of it is we have content creators like yourself, John, and some other podcasters and live streamers that work with the program, who help create content with the startup companies themselves, get exposure, get your name out there, and get used to speaking live and getting interviewed. The final part of it is the pitches themselves, which Pitch It is named after. So this all culminates into the 5-minute pitches, one to a live stream hosted by a channel program called the Battle Royale, directly to the MSPs themselves. The other part is a internal pitch to a board of ConnectWise members that we put together. There'll be a question after that. So 5 minutes direct, you get to get it all out, and then you get to explain yourself a little bit after. From there, the 3 finalists are selected to do their pitch live in person at IT Nation Connect Global in November. We put together a little board of judges, and they all compete for $150,000 in prizes. And it's good to get your name out there, get exposure, and show the MSP space what you got.
I love it. There's $150,000 in prizes at the end of this, and from what I have heard, a really nice steak knife kit as well. And we got yourself muted there, Sean.
No.
There you go.
Yeah, that's probably the best of the prizes is the steak knives. Let's be honest. People have tried. It started Marvin B. Man, he's the man. He comes with them every year. Luckily, he lives in Florida, so he just drives right over. He's not taking them on a plane, so everything's safe. But it'd be great. We've been asked if we can up the look and feel of the knives. So we're in conversations about how that looks. But also, I don't know if you guys saw last year, what you obviously did. We started giving out a heavyweight championship belt too.
I am looking to upgrade the belt. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get it live on stream. I still have that's the polar bear. Down here is one of those OG channel program belts.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Oh, there it is. I was looking at my cabinets here. It is right there. The OG channel program belt. So I gotta see what this belt looks like. Are you on a scale of 1 to channel program belt? What are you bringing to the table this year? Do you know? Are you still figuring it out?
Last year's belt was well past that belt.
Okay. All right.
It was like alligator leather. It was dope. It was heavy. It wasn't cheap. And so we're clear, it wasn't part of the budget. So I bought that for this because I wanted it. I loved it so much when I saw it. And I was talking to Sam. Sam sent me the link. He's like, check these out. And I built the thing. I was like, I'm paying for this regardless. I don't care if it's a budget. So there was no expense in it. But I was like, this is just so gaudy.
Shout out Alex Markov in Strategy Overview. He wore that thing with pride. He looked like Hulk Hogan walking around Connect Global last year. It was great. He was the champ. He
even ripped his sleeves off so he could show his 24-inch pythons.
I like it. That's Alex is a great dude. We got to interview him on Coffee Chats last year, doing some impressive stuff. We are now in week 4 or week 3?
Week 3. Yeah,
week 3. That's right. Yeah. And it's been interesting to watch. But one thing that I thought was very interesting was the process this year. Can we talk about that a little bit? Like it's heating up, right? Pitch It, is starting to get really competitive. And I'm curious, I'm going to ask that question in general. Let's talk about the process, but I want to throw in a little flair I've started to see in the industry, with the introduction of like vibe coding and the ability for people to build their own products. I'm seeing a lot of managed service providers building their own technology. Have we seen a cross section in the Pitch It community around that trend and the applicants this year? I'll throw that one to Sean, and then maybe we can have Sam, add any other flavor at the end of it.
Absolutely. So, it's nothing new that MSPs are becoming vendors also. I mean, this has been happening since the beginning of time, right? Yeah, exactly. We found in the first year of me running Pitch It to now that 60% or plus of the contestants are currently MSPs.
Love that.
Because they're legitimately trying to solve a problem that they're having internally. And, this is actually, a shout out to the Evolve Peer Group, because a lot of these men and women come from the Evolve Peer Group, right? And you can't just go solve a problem unless you know what the problem is, right? And a lot of times, these people are solving for systemic issues, not core issues. But, part of being at Evolve is, John, they dig into that stuff and they're like, holy heck, the real problem is this, not this. Mm-hmm. And they start developing something to fix their internal problem. And then they start to socialize it to their group. And the group's like, can we try it out? Sure. Now, all of a sudden, they have 5 or 6 people trying out. They're like, we love this. And they're their beta testers. And then they go through it all. And then all of a sudden, like, hey, we have other friends that want this. And then they start charging for it, basically. And now, all of a sudden, like, hell, we're a vendor too, So it's not new that that's happening. With vibe coding, yeah, it's relevant. It's also created a whole new industry for vendors too that aren't MSPs too, because just like anything new, they start jacking shit up. So then there's companies that are starting to fix the jacked up stuff, basically. And yeah, they can vibe code all day, but are they really solving a problem, or are they just creating a widget, right? And that's the difference between that, transcending into this, because being an MSP and being a software company are two different entities, and what you're actually delivering and how you're coming about to market and delivering it. And it changes everything. And MSPs are notorious for stretching themselves thin because they're service related. And the reason why most MSPs are successful is because they are so accommodating and service related.
Yeah.
And when you're in a software company, you can only be so accommodating before you've now gone off into the woods and you're not really doing, you're now an inch, deep and a mile wide, which provides no value to anybody. So yeah, I will tell you, this year has gotten harder because that inch deep, mile wide was very prevalent in the applications we went through this year. Yeah, that looks cool. That's amazing. But that's a lot. Like the biggest companies in the world aren't even doing the things you're saying you're doing because they can't. Even Microsoft can't address that problem. You got to find your lane. And so when we were sorting out through all the applications, yes, a lot of really cool things going on there, potential futures in them, right? But I think they're all going to be finding out that they have to minimize and have a very narrow focus.
There's a difference between SaaS companies and service. There's a lot of them, and I went through this transition actually with my first SaaS company because we built it out of our MSP, and you go from this servant mentality, which is what you have to be as an MSP. You have to have servant mentality. And then you move into this, it must serve everybody if I'm going to do it. But as you learned with customer number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, what they want is a little different than what they want. And you have to really stay in scope in building. And it's almost a detriment if you have that service mentality to a degree. If you're not being intentional when building software companies.
It comes back to the conversation you always have as a SaaS provider. Do you integrate into?
Yeah.
And that's always and it's like, okay. But as a good vendor, you should ask, why should I integrate that? To do what?
Yep.
Because I don't want to integrate into your toaster to make toast while you're doing this other thing. That's not what this is for. It doesn't make, well, the other company integrates into that. Okay. To do what? Yep. It's not a competitive advantage to just integrate everything. It's not a competitive advantage to develop something that does everything, even though it doesn't do anything good.
Yeah.
So it's serious. It's serious business too. And then what do? You waste all your money on what? Because you're going to invest heavily because you make a promise. Got to meet your credibility is the most important thing that you have to do business in any industry.
Especially though in this industry. So I want to pull back though. I want to step back for a minute. We could rabbit hole that for 45. I love that topic. But I want to ask Sam, how many pitch hits have you been involved with ConnectWise now?
This is my third one, and it's just been growing every year. And just kind of to piggyback off of what Sean said, we had 60 plus applicants this year just for the pitch it program alone from all geos of the world, which is exciting to see. And with AI becoming so prevalent everywhere you look, we kind of do have to take that deeper dive. And is it just a widget, or is this something that you've taken the time to create yourself? And that kind of distinguishes a lot of these startups. And some of these people are finding that out as they go through the first few sessions of the program. We just had the modes assessments come through, and I think that's a wake-up call for a lot of people figuring out where they are personally and where they are with their business as well.
Yeah. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. I want to pull back that modes assessment because that's one of the program components that I recall really changing the way that I worked. But I think I want to talk about the program. I want to elevate back up. We got 60 applicants. We have some really cool trends we're seeing in the space. Pitch it's clearly growing up and to the right. Let's talk about your 3 years ago, Sam. I'm going to pick on you here. 3 years ago and now. Let's get some deltas. Like, what's changed? What's gotten better? If you did pitch it a few years ago, or you heard of it and you're like, I don't know. What's different? So let's go there. And then Brett, yes, credibility is so dang key. I think you're commenting from Sean's point earlier, but you have to stay credible. So sorry, I just like to pull people in there. Sam, back to you.
No, and that credibility kind of plays in perfectly here. Where I came in 3 years ago, and even where Sean came in 5 years ago, we can take it all the way back to that. From that point, it was we got applicants, and you would take 3 to 5, and we'd say, okay, do your pitch, and we'd pick a winner from there. So Sean came in and turned this into what we know Pitch It as today with the incubator program. So with that first year that I came in, we did the 16 weeks, we did some podcasting, and we did the live stream and the internal pitches. And we took some feedback from the first year, and we understood that, okay, so, some of the sessions can be better. We can get more exposure through live streams and podcasters, and we can, make the coaching experiences better. We want to, make this so cohesive to a point that, the finalists from the year prior are coming back to support and help out. And, John, even yourself, you're coming back to the program after a few years because, you want another look at it. And that's what we want out of these companies. We want them to keep coming back and, feeling like that they can keep getting more. And that's why we keep updating the program. So every year we try to incorporate new educational sessions, especially around what's happening in the industry. For example, we see a lot of VC and private equity now in this industry. So we brought Reed Warren from IT Valuations to talk about M&A and preparing your company for, what that might look like in the future. So AI, M&A, those are two huge things that are in the industry right now. And we've brought in some sessions to take care of that and kind of help educate you guys. So we kind of keep our ear to the ground to see what's coming, and being able to work with startups is a big part of that, because you guys are kind of our educational sessions. You come to us with what these new technologies are. You're the forefront of what the MSP space is going to look like in 5 years. So if you guys can come to us and tell us, hey, this is what we need out of these educational sessions, that's huge for the Pitch It program.
Well, and I want to talk about that. I want to talk about the education sessions. I'm going to pull them up actually here in a second. But yeah, Brett, I think, are we solving real problems? Is a real conversation track in today's era, like real problems, not I could vibe code it to solve this little issue, but a real meaty problem. And I think that goes back to my point earlier. If you could vibe code it in an hour, so can an MSP. So what value are we bringing if we just vibe code something there? So let me pull this up. I want to talk about the program, the 16 weeks. Let me talk about, let me give you some inside track. I don't even know if I shared you this, Sam and John, why I really wanted to apply again this year, and why I wanted to be deeply involved in Pitch It. And it was important to me in my business because you mentioned back at it, lick number 2, right? Like we're coming into to do this again here. And where I found the most value was what we're looking at right here. Was the education. I've got a new founder he's out of the space. He was worried. He told me, hey, I don't think I'm going to be able, I don't know this space. I don't know how to build anything for it. I go, don't you worry. We have an MBA course coming your way starting in May. And so for me, the value of the education was the number one value, not the prize at the end of this tunnel, but this 16-week or 14-week course of education. So I'm going to ask, I'll start with Sean. I'm going to throw you on the spot. This is going to be a really tough question. And I'm going to give Sam a little extra time. We're going to talk about 14 weeks here. I want you to pick your 2 most impactful weeks for a Pitch It vendor.
Well, I mean, first off, the first one is literally week 1.
Fair.
Okay. It absolutely is. And for multiple reasons. Every year after week 1 is when we have attrition. We lay out the framework of what's going to happen, what the expectations are. We go through that stuff, and they go through their first coaching session. And a lot of them realize, holy hell, this is actually work. This is not just show up and hang out, and it sets the tone right off the bat. Every one of these vendors, and John, you and I, when you first applied, you weren't even going to apply. I had to call you out to make you apply.
Yep.
There is a confidence factor, right? It is really, there's a confidence factor, and there's, and it's like a buy-in, right? So you got to set the tone off, right? That's the first most important one right then and there. And, I would love to say all are important.
I know.
I mean, I would, but for me personally, I think every week that we throw in anything about messaging is extremely important to all of this, because most of these businesses, and we have several classes between them, the marketing, the public speaking, the selling. I mean, we started focusing more on those because of that. And the reason being is because many people have great products or solutions or offerings or whatever. They just struggle in explaining what the hell it is they do to people in the right manner. Again, back to that we do everything thing. It's not true. You know, it's not true. And you don't have to say that. It's more about coming back around and saying, we solve this problem for X and this is how we solve it. The end. Right. And a lot of companies struggle with that. And again, the reason why it's important is because you can't market your product and you can't sell your product if everything's not lockstep with each other and understanding what you're solving for.
Yeah, I think messaging, especially, I harken back to my Saslio days when I was trying to figure it out. I'm an engineer. I don't think in that language by default, and that was one of the most impactful things for me. Is like, you know, by default, vendors tend to talk about features and not solutions, and
Correct.
deprogramming that and creating a space where people can learn how to talk about solutions. Is probably, I would agree, one of the top values. I'll pick my two after this, but I want to jump over to Sam. You've had some time to think, and now you can't pick the same one Sean picked. I'm going to throw you on the spot there.
That's fair. I will call out. I can actually call out our Cameo coaches by name. One to kind of build off that is Brian Troy. His session is really focused on storytelling and your value prop. And I think one thing that Sean really focuses on for especially our cohort is you know, you have to ask the question of what the issue is and then solve it. And I think a lot of our startups are so knowledgeable about the industry and their product that they get caught a bit down a rabbit hole of explaining, you know, every single little feature about their product, when really the MSPs are there to listen to the big picture and how it's going to help their company. So I think that's one session that's really big. And then the other one, I think, you know, Jay McBain's session, just, you know, understanding the channel. I mean, he is amazing to listen to. You know, I could listen to him talk about, you know, farming crops for 2 hours and be entertained, you know, and still come away with something. But, you know, to have him do his hour session, and I think, you know, to get that kind of powerful speaking to our cohort is something that, you know, influences them and I think sticks with them through all the weeks.
I love it. I agree. You took mine. I was gonna say Jay McBain's course, because how else as a startup vendor are you gonna get access to hearing from Jay McBain directly and being able to ask him questions? Because that is a rare opportunity and one that's really valuable. I think that ConnectWise brings through the Pitch It program. I'll lean into two areas that I think are hyper relevant that maybe startup vendors don't capture when they're the first time in this community. I'll go with week 10 and 12. I'll talk about brand and community. Oh, there you go. We're going to tag. Let's see what he says. See if we can summon him.
Well, who knows where in the world he even is at this point. Every time I see a post, he's on a plane. He's like, look, I just went to 16 cities in 4 days. I'm like,
yeah. Wow. Live from Bangladesh, Jay McBain. But I chose week 10 and 12 because I think one thing that gets missed in our community is I just intentionally say it now. It's like part of my muscle is to call it a community. But it is the community. You know, as vendors, we often lean into selling to a MSP, not building a community in our space and owning something in our space. And, you know, if we think about the typical archetype of an MSP buyer or owner, it's a founder. And that founder-led messaging really resonates strong in the early days of growing a vendor side. And so having Michelle McBain be able to jump in and share how to amplify a personal brand, and then to get Rob Ray on a one-on-one, not a one-on-one, but a one-to-many, where you can ask Rob Ray questions about building a community, the guy that did it for Datto. I mean, that is a rare opportunity as well. And so I think
for you, I would agree. Actually, one of the messages I deliver to most people is, and I mean, Rob was able to, so there coincidentally, talking about the two people you're talking about right now, there was a time when Jay had written an article and posted it about how companies should operate in the channel and actually get more leverage to be okay. Because the one thing we know is that we're in a very critical industry. When something happens, MSPs are annoyed with you. They go into the MSP groups and they talk about whatever they're annoyed with. They don't hold back either. They're very, and rightfully so, because they are running a complete business. It is their livelihood. They don't have a huge budget. If something goes wrong, they may not be able to make their mortgage payment. Right? They have to lay people off. So they treat it that serious. So I appreciate that part. And Jay had at one point written about the fact that how it was important to have a community representation, right? And he used Rob as an example. And, you know, one thing that you can, and anybody's been in space long enough, we can all unanimously agree that the fact that Datto was given privilege, even if the software messed up, because they knew it would be resolved. They knew somebody would listen to them, and mostly it would be like Rob. And I mean, still to this day, you see Rob gets tagged. If somebody has an issue with PAX 8, somebody tags Rob in a post, and Rob responds. Now, if it's him or he hired somebody, I don't know. Either way, it's phenomenal. I applaud him for that, right? Rob gets on stage, and when he talks, he's meat and potatoes. There's no finesse to it. It's just he's articulate. He says what you needs to hear, and he's done, and he constantly mingles. So, it was important. I think one thing that and especially now, once I came to the side of ConnectWise, where I started working with all the sponsors, the one message I tell them all, like, how many times have you heard a sponsor like, oh, that show's horrible, I didn't get an ROI, but I'm still going to sponsor. Okay, well, why didn't you get an ROI? If nobody showed up to the event, I understand no ROI. I get it. But how many times do you see people, and Matt Solomon had done this years ago. He actually recorded a video at the end of an event. And he said, why is everybody packing up early on the last day? There's still people here. And it's about you working. And again, Rob, I don't know how much he travels throughout the year, but my Lord, I don't know if that man's ever home. But he's at every event, and he's always present, right? Every time when I was a road warrior, I was always present. Larry Metter, when he's showing, he's always present. The best ones are always present and relevant and responsive. And that's working a floor and getting your ROI. Remember, shows, you don't close deals at shows.
Yeah.
You're either starting relationships or wrapping up a deal soon.
Yep.
This is like getting ready for a marathon. You have to go to every event, and you have to show up at every event, and you got to talk and know that you're spending money now. This is called an investment, everybody. It's an investment. It's not, you're not purchasing anything, you're investing right now. Yep. And that's why when I asked Rob to do that session, it was a few years ago. Actually, we were at ChannelCon in Atlanta, whenever that was. That was like right before that's when we started talking about it. And I was like, hey, I could use you and your experience and your voice to tell the regular people that are coming up through this how this makes sense. I know how to work a floor. You know how to work a floor. Some of us just naturally will go do it because first off, we're not normal. We get excited about it. We're busybodies, we want to run around, but some people don't have it in them. So like the other bit of advice I say is not only should you be present, but if you yourself cannot be because it's not in your DNA, hire somebody that can be.
Yeah, you have to be out there in this community. And I myself sleep for like 3 days after conferences. I don't know about everybody else. I don't know how people jump show to show. And it's so tiring.
Yeah, you have to. If you did it right, you're done.
Yeah.
You're not functioning. Like when I get home, back to my youngest daughter being better than me, when I get home, this is years ago, when she was even younger, she'd be like, would you like some hot tea? And I'll leave you alone. She'd make me tea, and then she'd go away because I couldn't talk. And I just sit there with my hot tea watching whatever was on. I don't think I was even really watching TV. It was just on.
I know. I don't want to have any conversations when I get home. I just want to melt for a week.
Yes.
But that's how it is. I mean, that's what we have to do as vendors in this community, and being there and being present is critical. And Brett's right. Like, be present in every moment you're there. You might as well get that ROI out of being there.
Right. Make relationships. The main session, the main lesson to learn is, and I tell Sam and anybody that work for me, I'd rather you get 100 relationships than 100 sales.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that'll convert to 100 sales one day.
Or 1,000, or ongoing. I mean, I still do business today with people I met 15 years ago.
Of course. Yeah. And that's the thing about this space is we may be at different vendors or different places, and same with our customers. They may be at different MSPs, but we are all still in the community.
Yeah.
We are rapid. We got 10 minutes here. I want to jump into another segment and talk about what it looks like to be in the pitch it life cycle. We saw those 16 weeks plotted out, but 14 technical education weeks plotted out. Sam, I'll ask you this one. What's it look like if I'm a vendor in the pitch it program? What does my week look like? Am I doing something before my meeting, and then I got a meeting, and I got something after? Like, how does that actually happen?
Yeah, so we kind of have some deliverables, some housekeeping that we run through every week with the cohort, just to keep you guys engaged. It's easy to just say, hey, show up to these sessions and let you guys just kind of, your eyes glaze over, and you just take in whatever the recording says. But no, so what we do is we want you guys to just get ingrained in the MSP space through ConnectWise as much as possible. So one part of that is we get you guys uplisted into our marketplace. So, getting your name out there with ConnectWise, kind of getting that stamp of approval is huge. So, we need your information. So we're asking you to dig up things about your business, look inwards. And that could be everything from, hey, I didn't realize we don't really have a logo, a set logo that we use for everything. We kind of have to figure that out, So there's some small questions that come through these processes that you don't even think of until you're in the moment. So along with the sessions, along with the marketplace, like I said, the podcaster. So it's on you guys to, we give you the opportunity. We want you guys to reach out and schedule these. So it's free to do with all of our podcasters. And it's on your time. You reach out, you say, hey, this works for me. And you get out there. And so it looks like, you spend about 2 to 3 hours a week just solely on Pitch It, recording or being on sessions. Now, what's to say outside of that, whether that's prepping for marketplace, or maybe you have to do a little research about what you want to say on the live streams, so that kind of brings in all the aspects. And like I said, you're also, you're running a business on the side. And since you guys are startups, you're wearing so many hats that it all kind of turns into a thing of, hey, I'm on marketing, I'm on sales, and we want to kind of make that separation distinct and help you guys, formulate set paths for each part of your company.
Yeah, I can remember and relate all of the questions and the holes that got poked along the way. You think the boat's sailing and you think you're all good, and then you get a questionnaire that you don't have 5 answers to, and you're like, I should probably do that. I think that's one of the key things here is everybody's got their eyes on the prize, or at least I'm an insanely competitive person. My eyes are on the prize. But if you walk out and Pitch It, you will find yourself a better whole. If we're going to keep the entire ship analogy afloat here, you'll find yourself with a better hull, and you'll be able to ship and sail the seas a little bit easier there, because you won't have those holes. You won't have those little gaps in your business that you had before the 16-week program. And so that was one thing that I really remembered and appreciated, was asking questions I never asked myself that forced me to become a little bit better. So
agreed. It's, and that was the whole point when we redesigned this. I thought of everything that I had done with the startups I've been part of.
Yeah.
Because typically most companies bring me in as the entrepreneur, and we sit down and we talk about what's going on. And the outside, it's kind of like you're the third party coming into it, right? So you see all the problems with the relationship, right? You can objectively speak to it, right? And so what happens is you got to start to recreate, and you're reverse engineering, right? We got here, but how do we get past here? Because we're stuck right now. You got to reverse engineer that and see where all the leaks are, right? And you got to start to plug those leaks up one at a time. And most of it always comes back to, and I'm sorry to say this, John, as you being the owner. It's usually the owner's fault. You were good with what you did. You did a great job in the beginning, but along the way, you're so busy working in the business, you don't work on the business.
Yeah.
You're not objectively looking at your baby anymore to tweak it where it needs to be tweaked. So, when we redesigned this, we thought about that. And the best way to do it is to have a bunch of different voices. You get nothing out of one person speaking the whole time.
Yeah.
But if I bring you 18 to 20 coaches that are all practitioners in the space and have done stuff and you look up to, and they're talking about what they like the most. Because if you notice, every year our Cameo coaches are not talking about outside of their jurisdiction. They're talking within, and they're very, when they talk, they're passionate about it. I mean, if you ever watched, you mentioned Michelle McBain, you ever watch her talk, she's in love with that stuff. And she'll speak to it forever, but they literally all are doing that. And what are you going to say to them? You're wrong.
Yeah.
You
got the SMEs on the call.
Yeah, right. The person talking to you has done this time and time and time again.
They're right. They're mostly right. They're 99% right.
Yeah, you might have, the only way they're not right when they're talking to you is if you have some weird exception that doesn't exist.
Well, that's right. Why I say 99%. Nobody's always perfect.
Right, exactly. But otherwise, they're pretty much spot on. It's just a matter of figuring out how it fits,
I want to bring this up. It's a great point. Maybe you guys have MSP Pitch It next year. That would be a very fun program.
Wow, that would be so. You know what? That's a great idea. Okay. That's something.
I like watching you process live here, Sean. This is good. But it is a great idea, Brett.
It is. I mean,
maybe sub 10 people, something like that. Put some rules on it. Make it.
You know what? Yeah, we'll talk offline about that because
I
already have ideas now. I'm like,
it could almost be more of a bar rescue type of deal. Sean's John Tafferty, right? Isn't that his name? That's what.
Yeah. I'll come in their office and start yelling at them about nothing important.
I know you will.
Set up cameras and watch. Like, what's that guy doing? Why is he picking his nose at the keyboard? That makes it. What is wrong with you people?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. All right. Well, way to sign us there, Brett. I think next year, Pitch It 2027 should be a dual cohort. You guys got nothing else going on right now, so couldn't you just take double?
Yeah, I'm busy. I think, yeah.
Yeah. It could lead into your spring, though. It could be right before Pitch It. For your global event. For your global
event. I don't have a full-time job. This is,
Yeah, you just kind of hang out. That's all you do.
All the time.
So, all right, look, we got a few minutes. We're going to move to the last segment here. It's just a rapid fire wrap up. I'll ask you both the questions. The rules are simple. I'll ask you the question. You have as much time as you want to think about it, but you are only allowed one sentence apiece. So I think Sam's going to knock this out of the park. Sean, it might be hard for you. Brett said he's going to help you build it. So there you go.
If we build it, Brett will come.
Brett will come. I know. Brett will be the first applicant.
Cohort of dreams.
The first rapid fire wrap up question is, why don't you have an MSP Pitch It program? No, I'm just kidding. The wheels are still spinning, though. All right. I'll start with Sam on this one. Most common mistakes startups make when pitching to MSPs. 1 sentence.
Focusing on the product instead of how you can help the MSP make money.
I like that. Sean?
Clarification and simplicity.
Love it. I think that those are both a great theme to pull through. One thing that separates the Pitch It winners from the rest of the cohort.
Stage presence and ability to coherently pitch their product.
Can you top it, Sean?
Charisma and simplicity.
All right, we're going to switch it. Sean's going to start us off on the next one. Biggest misconception MSP owners have about early stage vendors.
Biggest misconception? That's simple. It's they think there's no credibility and it's not worth their time.
They think they can't take on the workload.
I like it. Real quick jab here from Brett. Brett seems to like Sam Hyphanen now moving forward, so I'm a big fan of this.
Moving up the list, I love it.
We're moving up. All right. Sean, we'll start with you on this one. What's the fastest way for a startup to earn credibility in the channel?
Sign up for Pitch It and be accepted.
That's such an easy one. All right, Sam, what's your answer?
Man,
yeah, good luck, Sam.
Get out there and get to events and get in person. Get in front of people.
All right, Sam, we'll start with you on this one. One piece of advice you'd give to a founder that didn't apply to Pitch It 2026, but is thinking about Pitch It 2027.
Apply now and keep improving. Don't be stagnant.
Sean?
It's simple. It's the conversation you and I had in Chicago when you were not going to apply. It's very simple. You started a business, get out there, apply yourself in different places and learn from others and find a way you can accelerate. Yeah.
If you started a business to be lazy,
path of least resistance where you can get it because running a business is resistance, period.
Love it. The final sentence, the companies that get accepted into finish this sentence. The companies that get accepted into Pitch It are the ones who, Sam,
persevere.
Like it.
Sean? Apply themselves.
I like it. All right, gents, this has been fun. We're going to go and work together to get a nice 6-week breakdown. This has been just kind of an introduction to the Pitch It program if you've never heard of it. If you're listening to this podcast because you're now thinking about 2027 and this is a year forward, I'd recommend these two gentlemen or myself. Feel free to reach out. I really want to make sure that people know about this program. It's an amazing program for vendors in the community that are trying to build great things for our industry. And so thank you for taking your time this Thursday morning for an enjoyment with a cup of coffee. Sam, I'll let you sign off, and then we'll hand it to Sean, and we'll head out to the rest of the day.
Awesome. Well, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be on here, and first one of my live streams. So I'm excited to get it out of the way.
Let's go. I didn't know that. I could have made it so much harder or easier. That's good.
I appreciate that.
I don't know which direction I would have went.
I like Brett giving me some support in the comments. I felt like I had a hand behind.
I know. I'm going to keep that up there for the rest of the show. Wait, no. I know what I want to keep up for the rest of the show.
I think that's great. I'll be honest. Sam. It's not hype burn. It's hype man.
Hype man. Sean Hypeman.
Ooh, Sam Hypeman is who it is. Sam Hypeman. That's who he is.
Sean Hypeman.
So actually, that's a great way to send this off. You asked how much time it takes a week for somebody, right? You asked what they should be doing to prepare. Before we got on this call, on this live stream, Sam and I talked to prep, to talk a little, because again, it was his first one. Even if it's not your first one, you have to prep a little bit regardless. Preparation is everything. I don't care what anybody says. So, this was good to be on this one to get this kicked off, John. I don't know if there's anybody that's more prepped in the world than you usually, because my Lord, I don't know how you do it all, but thank you for that. Thank you for prepping. Thank you for coming with the information. It makes it a little bit easier for people like Sam to talk.
Yeah.
He's new to it. And actually, I wish we'd have recorded what he said to you before we went live when he was talking about, just got to get up and do it.
I know.
Yeah. A favorite quote of mine that my dad used to always say to me is that failing to prepare is like preparing to fail. So get ready and get ready often.
And to be clear, Brett is texting me on the side, telling me he still loves me. Yeah, great, Brett. I'm calling you out. So, and I have proof of this too. I'll be happy to share on the next live stream. I'll take a screenshot and put that in the notes.
I love it, Brett. Thanks for throwing it in. Next, Sean, I'm going to leave my final quote since you left us with such a good quote. One in the spirit of what you did this morning, because I didn't know it was your first live stream. It didn't feel like it, by the way. But I remember my COO at my MSP almost a decade ago as we were growing, and I was not happy where I was because we were no longer the small little MSP I grew up in. He said, get comfortable with being uncomfortable or you're going nowhere here. And I appreciate you for getting comfortable with being uncomfortable this morning, Sam. Have a wonderful morning, everybody. Cheers.
Thanks, John.